amazing to have my new boom boss here with me. Instead of just a duo, which we're doing great. But now I have a whole family and we can dominate the entire locker room. All the divisions.
Wait. We're Goombas?
It was like, like Goombas. Yeah, Goombas.
But define that.
Yeah, like friends, like hey.
Oh, like amigo.
Yeah,
amigo.
Sure. Yeah.
Like new homies. So
Ah.
you're talking about new homies? Like these are the new homies right here. And I said before, I'll say it again. I will go to bat for each and every one. Okay. All right.
Yeah. You know, the Brat Pack, we're happy to be with the Alliance because we're going to take all the wins this time.
Watch out. Alliance.
Alliance, baby.
Alliance. Hey.
You know, and we all have our 15 minutes of fame, and I'd like to take a couple of my 15 minutes to talk about the rights and the wrongs in the world of professional wrestling.
WWE Championship.
This match is for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship.
The World Heavyweight Championship.
The match and new NWA Heavyweight Champion of the world.
We appreciate you guys coming out and taking your time to support women's wrestling in America.
This match is for the AWA World Heavyweight Wrestling Championship.
Welcome one, welcome all to another edition of the Rights and Wrongs Pro Wrestling Podcast. This is your host, Mr. Green, and we are sitting here getting prepared to go through another week's episode of WOW. This is your weekly WOW Review podcast. I'm sure I'm one of several, but, you know, the fact that you tune in for me is always reason for thanks. So thank you very much for doing that for me. You know, there have been a couple of things that have come to light since the last time that I've had a a couple of days ago, last time I did a podcast. There has been finally some news that's worth talking about. Things that I think that the fans of women's wrestling out there, not just in the realm of WOW, mind you. I usually find a way to rope it back around, but not just in the realm of WOW, but just women's wrestling in general. Finally have some stuff that I feel is worth bringing up and talking about and all that good stuff. So we are back to another news, views, and update segment. However, before we get off into going into that, you know, there's always the little elements of WOW that have kind of bled itself through that. I almost don't even want to wait to talk about some of the stuff that went on there. And that's not to say that the episode is entirely bad, but I mean, it's just the little things that's been going on there. Specifically, the comedy routine of the mother truckers. And I guess I should just make myself wait on that. But needless to say, it is just a high-class bit of absurdity, the segments that they're doing. Not that they're necessarily not well performed. They're just, why? Why are we doing this? But plenty of time for that. Like I said, I just had this dying urge that I had to at least bring it up about the mother truckers and whatnot. And my guess that they may be recreating to some degree something that's already taken place on another promotion and platform, specifically OVW. But I doubt that they will do it as well. Anyhow, so now that we are kind of rolling into this thing just a tad bit, how about we go into the news, views, and updates? So, the world of women's wrestling, as of right now, has a couple of changes that have taken place in the preceding days. One of those changes being is that we have a new NWA World Women's TV Champion. I'm almost at a point where they just need to they being NWA need to just create a secondary show for their women's division, because they probably have too many titles just for an hour program. But then again, I mean, how often do I look at NWA these days? So, getting back to the point, Maxine Paler had been the women's television champion, and she used what the NWA's version of Money in the Bank cash-in is their Lucky 7 rule, or their version of Option C is probably more accurate. Option C in TNA being, you win the X Division Championship. You can leverage the X Division Championship for a title shot to the World's title. Well, that's pretty much what happened here. The Lucky 7 rule is, I think you defend the championship. Once you've gotten past 7 successful defenses, you can challenge for your respective world title, if I remember that correctly. So Maxine Paler chose to challenge against the reigning champion, Kenzie Page, the woman that she defeated for the NWA Women's Television title to begin with. But that challenge went unsuccessful. I did watch that match. I honestly didn't know what to make of it. I was like, okay, is Kenzie Page a heel or is Max the heel? I mean, she was the easy heel walking into it, but I'd always thought that Page was a heel also. But anyhow, that doesn't matter. The point is that Kenzie Page defeated Maxine Paler. It took her like 3 cutters to do it, but she did it. But that in turn left the Women's World Television title vacant. That championship was decided on October 18th amongst Natalie Markova, Tiffany Neve, I can't even pronounce it. I'm just going to bungle up her name. I'm just going to say Neves. Tiffany Neves, a woman that you're very familiar with in Hollywood, Haley J. And the woman that ultimately won that championship, Big Mama. Big Mama has won the NWA Women's Television Championship. I wasn't even aware that she was a part of the NWA, but congratulations to her. I know she's been doing this thing for quite some time, so it's always a very lovely thing to see somebody get kind of respected, or that a little appreciation shown towards their time in their career. Like I said, as far as I know, she's been doing this for quite some time. So having her, win albeit a new championship, a championship in a promotion that has been around for a long time is a good thing. So congratulations to her. The crossovers between NXT and TNA continue. Wendy Chu has now been booked for TNA's Bound for Glory, the biggest show of the year. This is like their version of WrestleMania. So I was a little bit surprised to read that she would be going there, but I guess I shouldn't be, because her and Rosemary have been paired off quite a bit. Chu got the chance to challenge for the TNA Knockouts Championship a couple of weeks back at Victory Road. What she would be doing at Bound for Glory, I am not sure as of yet. They just have that she will be there. And she's also listed for the tapings the following day. So Chu is getting some airtime between 2 different programs here. I mean, she's going from TNA Wrestling to NXT on CW. This is probably great for her. I mean, it's certainly in terms of viewership and penetration. This may be the thing that she needs to kind of get herself over. Perhaps between one of those audiences, she will get some traction there. And I don't see this as anything but an all win for Chu, because it can't do anything but help her in the NXT front. And heaven forbid, but let's just assume that something were to take place that would cause her to lose her spot in NXT. Well, it's almost a shoo-in that she would go to TNA at this point. unless AEW just threw stupid money at her. But I would think that TNA has become an option again because it could theoretically lead to an open door back into WWE or NXT at some point. So again, I will be watching Bound for Glory. That takes place October 27th. I will not see it that day because they don't do the live pay-per-view broadcast on their app. They will release it, I think, about a week or two later. So I won't see it live, unfortunately, because I just don't see the point in me doing. I want to see it live, but I don't see the point in me doing that, and getting it free a week or two later. You know, I don't see the point in me paying $50 when I'm already paying for the app. So, and I got the wrong date. The taping's on October 27th. The Bound for Glory pay-per-view is on the 26th. So, what's that? The Saturday after what I'm doing right now, we'll have Bound for Glory. So I will be paying attention to the results, but I will be watching it later. Kylie Rae, you remember Smiley Kylie Rae? She is now celebrating 3 years sober. Congratulations to her. She's opened up about that, and I don't think that can be shortchanged by any degree. She put out on her social media, there was a time I thought I lost everything. I'm just so grateful right now, 3 years sober today. So I only bring that up to say, you know, that's great because I know she's had some ups and downs as far as pro wrestling is concerned. And there were some people that were questioning, you know, why she just would suddenly vanish. I mean, speaking of TNA, we can go back a couple of years right before one of the Bound for Glories when she, well, it was still Impact Wrestling at the time, but she backed out of it. Like, I think within like 24 hours, a week or something like that. I don't even think it was a week. I want to say like 24 to 48 hours. She backed up. She couldn't do it. And that was the, who won that year? I think Su Yung. I think Su Yung won that particular night. So all of that to say, you know, congratulations to her. I know people, particularly one at my job right now, who talks about that regularly. You know, he carries his token around, and you know, for his reminder of his struggles with alcohol and whatnot. So certainly not making a joke of it or anything like that. And this is a genuine statement of congratulations to her because I know it can be quite difficult. She is scheduled and booked to go to Scott D'Amore's new promotion in Canada, Maple Leaf Pro. Is it his? I think it is. But it's Maple Leaf Pro, Forged in Excellence. She will be part of a four-way with Lady Luck, Taylor Rising, and Aurora Taviz. So that will be her next big deal there. And you can catch that on Triller TV, formerly Fight. You don't call it Fight anymore, it's Triller. So if you have that and you want to tune into it, you can go ahead and pay for it. Remember, it's by Maple Leaf Pro, the title Forged in Excellence. And here's one that I really wanted to talk about and touch on, at least to a tiny degree. The PWI Women's 250 list for 2024. Oh, wait a minute. Before I get into that, I forgot. I totally forgot. I got one other thing that I wanted to bring. See, that's why I have to have notes in front of me to remind me of the things that I wanted to say. Vix Crow. Now, for some of you, that name may not mean anything. Vix Crow is the WWE diva. I say that because she was brought in during that era. Formerly known as Alicia Fox. And she will be getting in the ring. How about that? She is going to take on the current TNA Knockouts champion. Now, there is no guarantee that she will still be champion at this point. Let's go ahead and make that clear, because Grace has a match at Bound for Glory against Masha Slamovich, and this is the second go round, and my guess is that they are going to change the title. They just had the sit-down interview between the two of them that I just watched on Impact. Well, Impact Plus. I'm still used to saying that. TNA Plus. You could probably find. I think the same thing is up on YouTube. But they just had to sit down face to face between Grace and Slamovich, and I get the feeling that this is what they've been building towards since Grace was the one that broke her undefeated streak. She was undefeated for 9 months. They made it a point to bring that up, and that was also at a Bound for Glory, so now it's kind of full circle, and she's come back around. I say all of that to say that it may not necessarily be a championship match. Grace has been going around every which way defending that title, whether that's NXT or some independent. She just went overseas. I just saw a match with her and some young lady. Pretty good. And I can appreciate that she has really taken that championship and literally made it a world's title, just traveling around with it, which is one of my qualifications for calling things a world title, which is why I have such a hard time calling the Wild Championship a world title. But anyway, that's beside the point. Getting back to the original statement, Vix Crone, former Alicia Fox, will be getting in the ring, and she will be getting in the ring with Jordynne Grace. That is going to take place on December 1st, and you can watch that on Title Match Network. They said the last time that Crow got into the ring at all was in April when she faced off against Mickie James. So, this is interesting to me because I don't know what to think about Vix Crow as a wrestler. I've seen her as Alicia Fox on WWE's TV, and she was passable, but I just don't remember her as being some sort of great in-ring talent. I remember her being a pretty strong personality, but I don't remember her as being some great in-ring talent. I do believe that Jordynne Grace is capable enough to handle her shortcomings. I don't know if she would want to give Vix Crow the needle driver or what they call the juggernaut driver in TNA. I don't know if she would want to do that, but you know, I'm sure Grace will keep her safe no matter what the case may be. But you can see that match. You can stream it. Title Match Network. This will be Ladies Night Out 14. Again, Sunday, December 1st, 2024, and they will start at 12:30 p.m. Now, back to where I was. I think I got all the stuff. I wanted to get everything out of the way before I got to the last thing I want to talk about. That was the PWI 250 women's list, which was topped off by former AEW Women's World Champion Toni Storm. And I guess congratulations to her for her timeless Toni Storm gimmick. And I think that and the matches have gotten her where she is. But they have also posted the top 20. Now, I want to be clear. There is another podcast out there that covered the entirety of the list, all 250. And I scanned through all 250. Surprisingly enough, there were certain people that were not there. I will get to that after I read the top 20. So let's start with what the criteria that PWI follows in grading the people that they put on their list. There's an evaluation period. That evaluation period takes place between October of last year, 2023, to September of this year, 2024. That is the evaluation period to be eligible. The criteria to hit if you are going to be listed and ranked in this list. 1, in-ring achievement. Win, loss records, championships, and tournaments won. That makes sense. 2 is influence. Visibility and prestige within a promotion and or the industry. 3, technical ability. Variety of moves, quality of matches, and in-ring storytelling. 4, competition. Success against the most varied and highest quality opponents. 5, activity. A minimum of 10 singles non-tag matches total, or barring this, 6 such matches in separate months. That is the criteria that PWI is going by as they go through their list. So now I'm going to take the time to read. And by the way, I do agree with all of that. I agree with the criteria that they have, the in-ring achievement, influence, technical ability, competition activity. And I have to say, just based on that alone, you pretty much know which roster was going to get well, not ostracized is the wrong term. You knew which one that was going to be alienated from this list. And you knew which roster, just based on the criteria here alone, who was not going to be listed. So let's go into who we do have listed. As stated, number 1, Toni Storm. Number 2, Jordynne Grace, the TNA Knockouts Women's Champion, who I can totally see that just because of what she has gone through, went around showcasing that championship, like I said, every which way that she could. So I think that accounts for a lot. Number 3, Rhea Ripley, who has absolute star power. Number 4, Makia. Number 5, Stephanie Vaquer, who just signed it to NXT. Number 6, Sari. Number 7, Bayley. Number 8, Willow Nightingale. Number 9, Mariah May. Number 10, Athena, who happens to be the longest reigning Ring of Honor champion of any kind. I don't know what that means in today's market, but take it for what it is. Number 11, Roxanne Perez, NXT Women's Champion. 12, Liv Morgan, current Women's World Champion. Number 13, Io Sky. Number 14, Mayu Iwatani. 15, Masha Slamovich. 16, Mina Shirakawa. 17, Becky Lynch. 18, Miyu Wanatabe. 19, Mayu Yamashita. And 20, Lyra Valkyria. That is the top 20 as listed by PWI. Now, of course, you take the rankings with a grain of salt because it's a group's opinion, if not one person in general. But that being said, for the most part, I do agree with what they have. I can understand Rhea Ripley not being number 1 because she did get hurt. She's still top 5. But I can understand her not being number 1. Toni Storm has been there. Toni Storm has had a spotlight on her. And I think Toni Storm got herself over in spite of AEW's booking at times. Her personality has lifted well beyond what she probably should have been able to achieve. I just gave you the reasons why I think Jordynne Grace belongs there. And I stand by that. And I'm not going to go through all of those. Like I said, I did scan through the list of 250. And before I make the statement I'm going to make, I'm going to just say you can find that list and double check my statements. But as far as I know, from what I saw, from just scanning through, from 1 to 250, there are no persons from WoW that are listed in that list anywhere. Other than the closest that you have is Delilah Doom. I believe she is somewhere around 238 or somewhere thereabout, if I'm remembering it correctly. But the point being, because I'm probably getting her rankings off because I didn't write that down. But the point there being is that it's Delilah Doom that's listed, not Gloria Glitter. And they did make reference to the fact that she's part of WoW, like she's appeared in WoW as Gloria Glitter, but her being on this list is not based on the merits of WoW. It is. I've said this with when Stardom started branching out, and what was the other promotion? Spark. When they started branching out, and they were getting coverage. They were, wrestling promotion, wrestling publications, and some podcasts were covering them. Whereas WoW was not being covered. And I, at the time, said it's a shame that you would have wrestling promotions from an entirely different country that get more coverage here than WoW does. I mean, it's if I was on the roster, it would be disheartening. I feel like it's insane. But if I was working there, I'm like, this is so ridiculous. How are you in this country on national television and not able to be listed amongst the best? Well, I know the reasons why they aren't listed amongst the best, because they shoot themselves in the foot as far as that's concerned. Trying to convince people that you're the best when there's really not all that much to back it up is a little difficult. And I can only imagine that the ones that's in that company and on that roster who actually can go, and I mean go in the ring, get the job done from bell to bell. I can only imagine that could have a little bit of frustration, if nothing else, just a little bit. It might not be a mind-numbing anger that they feel towards not being there, but I can imagine it would be agitating to some degree. And when I see the list, and like I said, when I'm looking at people from Stardom, Stephanie Vacour is on that list, not based on what she did in NXT. She just got there. They're basing her work on independence in Mexico. Not a mention of WoW's World's Champion, as they call it. I don't refer to it as a world's title, but not a mention of that. Not a single mention of Beast or whoever else has been their champion of that company. Not a single mention of it whatsoever. That shows you just how much clout WoW has in that regard. But, what can you do? It's Jeannie Buss and David McClain's playpen, and they will do what they want, how they want to do it. But needless to say, regardless of how they are listed, I'm pretty sure they are perfectly satisfied with what's going on in WoW, because as long as it's on the air and it is receiving some level of money off of ad revenue, I'm pretty sure all's right with the world and they could care less. So that being said, I think we can move out of news, views, and updates and get ourselves prepared to cover the next episode of WoW. And we will do that in a moment, just after we get from the break. Alrighty, folks, let's get to it. And before I do, I've had to do this in a while, but it's been some long days. There we go. A little bit of Celsius this time, not that other energy drink that bucked up. And let me say that bucked B before YouTube decides that I said a naughty word or something. Before I get into the WoW review, I I didn't write this down, but I just thought about it as I was doing this, and I wanted to just touch on it really briefly before I go on, because I know I brought up UWW before, the former Ultimate Women of Wrestling. Well, I guess they're not the Ultimate Women of Wrestling after all, because the Ultimate Women of Wrestling, the site, promotion, etc., seems to have ceased to exist, and in its place is Only Wrestlers. Yes, it is exactly as it sounds, like a wrestler's version of OnlyFans. Now, this was the big reveal announcement that whoever that was responding to me on Instagram was talking about. They had mentioned that, hey, we got some exciting stuff going on and this, that, and the other, and blah, 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 blah. And I can appreciate the efforts that they have put in, and I'm going to wish them well. My first impressions of Only Wrestlers, I mean, it's another subscription service that is largely focused for pro wrestlers to interact/engage with their fan base. My only downside is, like, you know, and I'm not saying this to disparage people from not using it or, you know, something like that, but, you know, there are probably like a dozen other subscription-based services that you could utilize to interact with your favorite wrestlers, and for wrestlers to interact with fans, including YouTube, including OnlyFans, including Patreon. You know, I forget, it was one of them that was built out of comic books, and, you know, but that's kind of stretched out. Any subscription service that I have seen that was designed for one thing slowly morphs into just doing everything. So I don't know where exactly that's going, but I'll give you a quick idea of what happens when the wrestlers sign up. They get to dictate the monthly subscription fee, much like an OnlyFans or something like that. And that monthly or yearly fee for you to engage, see videos of them, merchandise, live stream, whatever the case may be, you know, that is the platform that they get to do it. Again, not saying anything against that. If it works out for them, great. But unless they're going to like cease being on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or YouTube, unless they're going to stop doing that, or you can't see them at the live shows, or the promoters aren't going to do it with them anymore. Like, I can understand if they was going after promoters, that probably would have been my choice. It would have been to go after the promotions rather than the wrestlers. And I only say that to, like, you know, then they could have potentially created their own little network of promotions that they could operate between, and maybe list a special event on their website or something like that. But just to go after the individual wrestlers, like I'm using Jordan Blue as an example. Their monthly subscription is $20. I don't know what she's going to be doing on there that'll be worth $20 a month for me or anybody else. Hollywood Haley J, she's on it as well. Her monthly subscription also $20, and it's got her bio on there. It lists your language, lists the category, lists the category for her being female wrestler, lists her ethnicity, her gender, her state, her city, a little bit of a bio. And then you got the feed, you got the videos, you got the VOD, you got galleries, merchandise, live stream, and you can message them and send a tip. But again, what exactly it is that she's going to do that's going to garner that kind of attention out of you, or that kind of monthly subscription, or what have you, I don't know. You'll have to ask her. But they do have a fair amount of people there, including Rob Van Dam, Katie Forbes, who also was a former WoW participant. I forget the ring name that she went under. What goddamn, what was her thing? I just remember that she had the stupid ring rats thing. But I guess that was the best that they could give her at the time. I mean, it wasn't like it didn't fit. Chloe Hertz. Was it Chloe Hertz? I think it was Chloe Hertz. That sounds like a wild name. She was all natural Chloe Hertz, I believe. So yeah, that was going on all natural. I'll take your word for it. So anyhow, I was going through some of the people that was in there. Forbes, Van Dam, Jordan Blue, Hot, Charlie Haas, Melissa Santos, who I also believe was in the Wild at some point, Amazing Maria and Hollywood, Haley J. Notice they mentioned their names by independents and not Wow. Probably legally can't do it. John Morrison, Elijah Summers, Trailer Park Barbie. And I'm not going to go through all this whole thing. So yeah, it's a lot of it. You go check it out. Go onlywrestlers.com. Onlywrestlers.com, and you can make the decision on your own whether you want to jump into that or not. So now I took a little bit of my WoW review time to talk about that. So now let's jump into the WoW review. The show is episode 305, which of course stands for season 3, the 5th episode of the season. The title, A Little Pink Elbow Grease. The air date, October 12th. And the chronological number, which I go by, is 209. Show opens up with the Mother Truckers and Lana Star segment because, you have to do that. I mean, technically it opened with a shot of the city of Los Angeles, and then it morphed into that after the voiceover. And we got the old cleaning comedy segment there. They recap the Mother Truckers arriving to Lana Star's mansion. And she sees them. It's like, oh my God, what are you wearing? And she pulls them right on into the house. So she tells them that, hey, you stand right there. Don't move. As soon as she walks around the corner, then, of course, HollySwag starts, look, mama, and just starts touching everything in sight. Then Lana comes and is like, I figured this might happen, so I had these made for you. And she presents them with brand new, custom-made wrestling outfits. Now, I know it's supposed to be there to do cleaning work, but it's like it's both of them say like Swag's Towing, and they got the names on it. I was like, what is she doing this for? Is she supposed to be the baby face? That seems like a pretty nice gesture to give them clothes. I mean, unasked for and unwarranted clean uniforms, which really have nothing to do with cleaning whatsoever. So, and the second HollySwag sees this, what? Wow! And they're bedazzled. Okay, Miss Lana, we'll get right on it. It's for a second or two, she forgets that she hates this woman, I suppose. And then goes off and, to go change and put on their uniforms. So, I wrote down, it takes so little effort to impress HollySwag. Little did I know how right I was. Now, I wrote that at the beginning of the episode, that it takes so little effort to impress her. And man, was I right. I also put down, as this segment was going on, why can't they pay from Wild's checks again? I was like, what is it that, are they working wrestling for free or something? Why can't they pay off this debt based on the 2 checks that they should be getting from Wow and the towing service? I mean, they've only beat it into the audience 1,000 times that they have a tow truck company. It's supposed to be theirs. Not working for somebody. It's supposed to be their tow truck company. Where's the money going? But anyway, I wrote that for some reason Swag acts like she's never gotten anything new before. And I wrote, do they work at all? Like that. I hate to go into these things having to apply a logic that ruins whatever segment they're in, but I can't help it. I have to apply the logic to this, and it doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, why are they doing this? So the next segment is a cold match. It is my favorite team, Animal Instinct. Not really. I'm being facetious right now. So it's Animal Instinct, and they are taking on Chantilly, Chella, and Holidead. Nothing wrong with this match, honestly. I mean, whatever I may think about the team of Animal Instinct, this match is passable. It's a cold match. Doesn't really mean anything. It is not amounting and not going anywhere. And I am sorry, regardless to how well they did in this particular match, I am still not a fan of neither one of them. Not Katarina Jinx, not Goldie Collins. I'm just not. Are they getting better? Do they do what they're there to do fairly well? Yes. I can give credit where it's due. And I try my best to give credit where it's due. But I'll just start off with the line that I like using. Now, this I cannot prove. But I just do not get the impression that either one of them care about being a professional wrestler. Now, they might naturally be able to do it, at least in a basic sense. But I just do not get the impression that either one of them really are overly concerned with it. And if while we're not around, neither one of them would make any efforts to continue this occupation any further. That being the case, it already becomes a strike against me. A strike against them. Anyhow, so the odd couple team of Holidead and Chella somehow still exist. Not that I'm mad about that, but I am upset that they have never, ever, 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 ever explained why this team exists. They just haven't. They haven't said one promo, one interview, one Q&A session, nothing to say, hey, we're here because of this thing, or I started off just because I felt pity for her, but then I grew to like, anything. Just nothing. They just exist. And the oddest of pairing, and I don't know why it wouldn't be explained, but they just didn't. The baby faces here are pros, and they both have experience underneath them, so I expected a fair amount of work out of them, and I expected them to carry most of this. And I get the feeling that for the most part they probably did. Again, I can't prove all of that, because it might have been a case of maybe they just had this thing completely worked out ahead of time, and Jinx and Collins might have had it memorized. I don't know. But the match starts off Holidead and Katarina Jinx, and she's doing her little cat thing where she has to creep around, and rather than lock up, I got to roll through and duck underneath. Not really sure how that's going to win the match, but Holidead looked like she was amused by the fact that she had been evaded. She tried to go out there with a big boot, and then Katarina comes out and starts raining forearms on her, which didn't really seem to do all that much, and gets a side headlock on her, and Holidead shoots her off. They try it again. Holidead gets another side headlock. Well, not a side headlock, but she shoots her off into a atomic drop. Both ways, normal and inverted, and catches her with a clothesline. And a nice leg drop to boot. It was, in terms of how the match was going, I think it went fine, because they being the heels, what they were supposed to do. They weren't supposed to get an advantage until they cheated to get an advantage. And that's what it was. They cheated to get the advantage. And this is probably the best pairing that Chella has had. One of the things that I remember being kind of, I don't want to say stood out to me, there was a point where the babyfaces are doing a tag, right? And they get Collins in the corner. This is, of course, after Jinx tags out. When Holidead says Collins in the corner, she looks like she just has to stand there and wait for whatever it is that's coming. Now, she did put a look on her face like, what's going on here? But it just, for those 2 or 3 seconds that she just stood, I was like, why isn't she just walking out of the corner? Because that's what it looks like. It just looks like it is as simple as taking a step to the left or the right and getting out of the goddamn way of whatever it is that they're doing. But that didn't happen, so, we just moved on. It was nice tandem moves by the babyface. Holidead pretty much wheelbarrows and slams Chella on top of Collins. Collins did something like what she stepped on her foot and then broke the grip of Chella. And the match continues on. Babyfaces remained in control. She being Chella. I'm not even sure whether that was on purpose or not. I'm going to assume that it was on purpose. That when she does the second drop down, that she trips Collins up. Because that looks like there was a little bit of a stagger there on both parts. If you see it, it's like there's a shoot off, there's a drop down, there's Collins going over top of it, but it looks like the second time back, there was a little bit of a misstep. Maybe Chella could not leapfrog her enough. The drop down was fine. The leapfrog, it looked like it messed up Collins' rhythm a tad. Now, again, I cannot prove this. I am going to assume that Chella did this on purpose to trip Collins. And if she didn't, then there's great instinct on her that she just went ahead and grabbed a side headlock after the trip. Either way, this is the type of stuff that I'm like, you know what? That's what a professional is able to do. So it is only one of two things. That either that second drop down and step up was a trip that was intended to happen, and she went for the side headlock on the ground, or Collins caught it by accident, legitimately tripped up, and then Chella just adjusted. Either way, I was fine with it. So I think we can move into the bulk of the match here. There was a springboard by Chella on Collins. It was, I don't know, it kind of wonky looking. Collins got to do her barrel roll out of the I guess alleged arm drag, but it like I said, it looked kind of wonky there for a second. But it wasn't enough to distract from the match. Let me put it this way. It wasn't nearly as bad as the botches that took place with Roxy Powers and the Classmaster a couple of weeks ago. So, in any case, we have Goldie Collins, who is able to cut Chella off. Sends into the turnbuckle, but Chella's able to stop whatever it is that Collins was about to do and leaps over and gives her a quick smack. But she happens to be on the side of the heels portion of the ring, and Katarina Jinx comes around and gives her like a roundhouse kick on the apron. I don't know if a roundhouse was necessary, but I guess it works in this particular case. Holidead tries to get in, and the referee does his job of getting her out. And I like that Holidead tried to get in, gave the heels the time to do something on the other side without the referee having to stand around like an idiot. Just letting everybody do everything all at once. That does happen, of course, later on, but, at least in this particular instance, that did not take place. So they put the heat on Chella. Katarina Jinx, I don't know if she was told to do it, but maybe she was displaying a little bit more instinct. Took a shot at Holidead to knock her off the apron so that Chella would not be able to make the tag. And they put the heat on her. And I was good with that. Like I said, I do have my problems with Animal Instinct. I don't care for the team necessarily. But they have their moments. I will say. I don't like the back raking by Katarina Jinx, because I'm sure she's only doing that to try to be the cat that she is trying to portray herself to be. I like that Holiday came in and she yanked Jinx off of her partner, off of Chella. And also, it gave Goldie Collins the time to get in there and do a quick stomp. And then when the ref saw her, she turned around and got out. So there is those portions of that where they show the glimpses of doing something right and doing something well. I mean, if I'm going to call a spade and be fair, I have to say that there has been improvement amongst the two. I specifically dislike the gimmick. Dog trainer and a woman that thinks she's a cat. I mean, it's just... I thought we left stuff like that alone a couple of decades ago, but, you know, what am I going to say? So anyway, Collins goes for a pin on Chella. Holidead saves her again. But same thing applies. She comes in and Holidead gets confronted by one of the heels, which allows the second heel, in this case Jinx, to come in and do some stomping because the referee's distracted. Surprisingly enough, and I'm going to put most of that on the shoulders of the veterans in this, they managed to manipulate the referee enough to where it is not just a case of, hey guys, get out of here, don't do that, stop. And even, you know, and Animal Instinct followed their cues. They followed their cues. They got in there, ran across, popped Holidead. They looked like they were actually trying to stop Chella from succeeding in this tag. And I have spoken highly of some of the hot tags that WoW has done because I hate the little simultaneous tag thing that has been going on in wrestling for a couple of years now, although a lot of people have stopped doing it. So in any case, Chella gets the hot tag. Holidead comes in and she starts cleaning house, nails Katarina Jinx like a freight train, runs down Collins in the corner, pretty much beats them both up, gets a spine buster on Jinx, but Collins is able to stop it. And then we get a little double team thing in there because this is the portion where the referee has to stand around like an idiot and, hey, what are you doing, guys? Well, stop. Please don't. So they both shoot the heels off, and both heels counter the baby faces. The saving grace of this double team is that it did not take forever for them to do, even though the ref had to stand there for a little while. It wasn't as egregious as other teams have made it. So they get shot off. Collins catches Chella with a boot. Jinx catches Holidead with the equivalent of a code breaker. I know that's what they call it, but I wouldn't call it a code breaker because it ain't Chris Jericho. And then she hits Holidead with like a reverse leg lariat, I guess you want to call it that. Holidead's able to kick out of that. And Jinx is looking to finish this thing off. She tags off to her partner, and now we got the old double team move. I would have liked the ref to be actually doing some counting there instead of standing around doing exactly what I just said. Hey, what are you doing? Stop. But Chella gets in and she saves a partner, and then both of them get, this time, the baby faces connect. Chella catches Jinx with a cutter, and Holidead stops the big boot and sweeps the leg out from underneath Collins. That sets Collins up for a double arm face buster. And that was that. She connected with it, 1, 2, 3, and the baby faces go over. Like I said, cold match, but it was a fun match. They're still working to impress or win me over. I'm not as hard on them as I was, but I'm not fully won over with Animal Instinct. It might be the gimmick. It might be the gimmick that's holding me back on them, but I'm not totally won over them. But credit where credit is due. They gave a good match here. And like I said, either they followed their cues or they're getting better. One of the two, or both. The commentators worked in the dog training gimmick for Collins. I was like, God damn, can't you leave that alone? You know, that right there bothers me more about her than anything. Like, why does it have to be this gimmick of a dog trainer. What is a dog trainer doing in WoW? In wrestling at all? What is it supposed to do? Nothing. So I don't know. They keep bringing up Alexander the dog because they just will not let this thing go. And I guess I should call the move what it is instead of a double arm face buster. I mean, that's the technical, but the name as associated with Holidead is Darkness Falls. I wrote down this cold match, but it was fine. Holidead's comeback looked good, and I was good with this match despite the fact that it was a cold one. The next segment, the commentator's promo for the new Surfer Beach girl, Brittany Bay. I am so tired of these gimmicks. That is exactly what I wrote and highlighted it. I am so tired of these gimmicks. It's like he has to go out of his way to have some surfer girl, or ever since Baywatch, when they were doing the beach patrol in 2001, he has always had to have some sort of beach-based surfer gimmick applied. And Brittany Bay is no different. And, of course, she is pretty much a clone of Sandy Shore in terms of look and the pants and the shades. The only thing I don't remember her having is a beach ball. And I'll say the same thing I said about Rebel Hayes when she showed up on the WoW with her heavy metal gimmick. I'm like, it's a matter of time before she joins the Heavy Metal Sisters. So I'm just going to go ahead and say that now. It's a matter of time before Brittany Bay is hooked up with Spring Break 24/7. Like, there is absolutely zero reason for her to show up in this company wearing practically the same outfit and not be associated with them. So I don't know what that's about. Now, keep in mind, this is her debut, so spoiler alert, Brittany Bay lost. The ring announcers introduced Genesis as the only member of Exile. I still don't understand that. It is not a function. It's a team that doesn't exist anymore. Why are they going with this? She's the only member of Exile. You cannot be the only member of a group that doesn't exist. Stupid. You don't have one person running around saying I'm the only member of the NWO or something like that. I mean, my gosh, just let the Exile thing go. What I'm afraid of with that is that it's going to be her defining characteristic like they do with everybody. It's what I said when I talk about the Class Masters, what I say when I talk about Pep Riley and the other ones who just have that one, the Tormenta, that one shining thing that they like to fixate on that becomes she's the sole member of Exile. Like, how are you the sole member of that's just a sad, lonely thing. So anyhow, they talk about her like, she's out here for fans. I'm like, what fans? How could she have any? This is her debut. And there's no real surprise that was going on here. Like I said, anytime somebody debuts on WoW, it's pretty much a shoe-in that they're going to lose. And that's exactly what she did. She came in and she lost. She did, a few moves here and there. But ultimately, she was tapped out and what was called the excommunicator, which is like a sharpshooter pushed over to the side. And she taps out Bay. Like I said, this is not worth you going. If you want to watch the match, it is on their YouTube, and you can go check it out. But I didn't find this match particularly interesting because there was nothing here. This was only here as a means to forward Genesis, and I'm not against that. But the story here is that Genesis wins. And she cuts a promo. That's the story here. She cuts a promo after the match, putting the locker room on notice. I'm not sure how a normal win puts the locker room on notice. That part I didn't get. It's not like she left out of there on the stretcher. It's not like she hurt her. It's not like they had to get medical attention or something like that. It was a normal win. How does that put a locker room on notice? The wins and losses happen in a wrestling company all the time. So I'm not sure what notice was supposed to be applied here. And she's talking about, she wants to get a title match. Assumably, at some point, this will lead to some sort of championship opportunity, I guess. My best guess in this particular instance is that Genesis is now fulfilling the role that Adriana Gambino once had when she was the undefeated Adriana Gambino as the heel and collecting wins. And Genesis might be that now. Time will tell. We will see. But the win comes from Genesis when she applies the excommunicator and Brittany Bay taps out. So another debut up, another debut down. No promo, nothing to introduce her other than the loss. No extension to her personality, anything like that. She's just out and gone. And then we move on to the next segment. And we wait for her to show up in Spring Break 24/7. Oh, yes. And I failed to mention that promo by Genesis as a heel, of course, begins to be aimed at David McClain. So, true to form for a while. Next segment, getting back on track. The Alliance has a backstage segment. Rhythm and Del Rey are having fun together while Gianni and Gambino watched. I wrote down at least it looked like they're having fun with their airtime. What this reminded me of was, for those of you that have watched NWO or DX or, there was a very clear friendship that took place in front of the cameras, and they did not attempt to hide that. If you saw Scott Hall and Kevin Nash at any, once they got comfortable in WCW and they weren't just, well, I can't even say that. I was going to say once they got comfortable and they weren't just trying to be the badasses, but they actually did that from almost day one. The friendship that they had bled through the screen. Same thing you can say on the other side of the fence with DX and Shawn Michaels and Triple H at the time, and there's probably a dozen other wrestling promotions that have other factions in it that true to life friends were paired off together on screen, and that pairing, the chemistry thereof, kind of bled through that. That's what this reminded me of. It just felt like we might as well have fun with what we're doing. so no complaints there. The next segment after that, back from the commercial, McClain introduces the Alliance and says they're there to take over WOW. I wrote down, I guess he's okay with that. He said it so nonchalantly, but more so than that, I've never heard David McClain mention any heel group that has ever been in that company say they're there to take over the company. Never. And at what point, this was the thing that I wrote past this, like, at what point did they ever say, and we're here to take over? Maybe I missed it. I don't know. Maybe I didn't hear. But where did they say that we're here to take over this company? It felt like he jumped the gun and they're here to take over. I was like, well, I don't remember that being a declarative statement. Yeah, they made some declaration on the group and Gambino that I want to surround myself with family, and if you're listening to this podcast, you probably caught the Alliance promo at the beginning of it. That wasn't even on TV. And you know how I feel about the promos that don't take place on TV. They don't count. It's not on their television, doesn't mean anything. But of all the things that may have happened or may have been said, that we'll call that the Goomba promo. But of all the things that they have said and done, I do not, and it's only been, a week or two? I don't remember them ever saying that we're going to take this place over. I just don't. And what is their definition of taking over? So having heard that, I have just gone ahead and until proven differently, I'm just going to go ahead and assume that They are responsible for the attack on the Beast. I was about 70% sure or leaning in that direction before now. Because I was like, well, you know, physically speaking, they do look like they could fit the part. Mask or not. But once he said that on camera, I was like, they're here to take over WoW. I was like, yeah, okay. I'm going to go ahead and slot them into the group of people that decided to attack the Beast for whatever reason and clock over the head with a bottle. So there we go. Thank you for the surprise, David McLean. I can only hope that my assumption is wrong and they will surprise me. That is the hope. I do not think that will be the case, but that is the hope that they will somehow like, oh no, I was wrong. It was so and so. There's an entirely different group of people that came around and attacked the Beast. Speaking of groups of people, I just want to veer off slightly, just to talk about how many people on this show are involved in groups and factions. I mean, my gosh. I sat as I was show prepping, and about every season I'll go through the roster. I'll just write down the members of the roster, and I'll go through who's still there, who left, who's hooked up with who, and all that stuff. But as I was doing that, and if you see me post any pictures of my notes, I use a lot of highlighters and color pens and whatnot so I can separate things, make it easier for me to get through. And I decided, well, you know, I'm going to highlight everybody that's part of a group. That was like 90% of their roster. Like I was going to highlight in orange anybody that's part of a faction or team. Is going to just go ahead and highlight this. And it's like the entire page was just highlighted orange. I'm going to sidebar just for a second to go through some of that of what I had highlighted. Now, this is the roster as listed on their website right now. So, if you want to look on the WoW page, on the WoW website, and just check out who is part of what, then you can follow along with me. So, Abilene Maverick. She's not listed as being part of anything right now, so we can skip her. Adriana Gambino, part of a faction. Americana, part of a tag team. Angelica Dante, hooked up with Chainsaw. BK Rhythm, part of a faction. Brittany Bay, she's a new face. I will not list her, but I do maintain that she'll probably be part of Spring Break 24/7 in the upcoming weeks. Chainsaw, hooked up with Siren. Chella with Holidead. Campanelli, top tier. Foxy Fierce, the Fierce Sisters. Fury and Genesis stand on their own. Gigi Gianni, part of the Alliance. Gloria Glitter, top tier. Goldie Collins, Animal Instinct. Holidead with Chantilly Chella. Ice Cold, who knows? Kalaki, new face. Jesse Jones by herself, allegedly. There is the Abilene married Jesse Jones combination, but I'm not going to put them into it because officially that hadn't happened. Candy Crush, top tier. Katarina Jinx, Animal Instinct. Keita Rush by herself. Lana Star, Fabulous 4, Lil J Boogie. Nobody will leave that alone. Miranda Mirage, goddamn. Why do we have these like 1993 gimmicks that I'm sure she'll come out and do a card trick or pull a rabbit out of the hat or whatever. Yes. Anyhow, I won't get bogged down with that right now. Penelope Pink, Fabulous 4, Pep Raleigh. According to them, she's part of Team Spirit, even though she's the only person left from Team Spirit. Princess Ozzy, tagged with Tormenta, Reina Del Rey, The Alliance, Roxy Fierce, along with Foxy Fierce, the Fierce Sisters. Samantha Smart, Classmaster, Santana Garrett, All American Girls, Lopez, Island to herself, Siren, along with Chainsaw and Dante, Sanchez by herself. The Bees by herself. Classmaster just mentioned it with Samantha Smart. Shamaro, we haven't seen, but she's by herself. Tormenta, part of a tag team. Nearly everybody, with the exception of about, let's see, how many is that? That's 5, 6, 7, 8, about 10 people of a roster of 48. Out of a roster of 48. Well, we're not going to include the new ones. Well, out of a roster of 39, about 10 people are not a part of something at this moment. Speaking of new faces and add-ons, we can put Miranda Mirage, Kalaki, Brittany Bay, Ashley Blaze, Catalina Speed, Nikki Nashville, Paola Mayfield, Sprout Greens, hate that name, Valentina Diamante, Veronica Varoom, hate that one too, and Xena Phoenix. J-Rod, I hope she actually keeps her own name, but I don't know. Since I'm on the roster, I might as well go through the removed talents as well. The people who are no longer listed: Angel Rose, Ariel Sky, Exodus, G.I. Jane, Rebel Hayes, Sasha Sparks, Sierra Breeze, Steffi Slays, the Tonga Twins, Vicky Lynn McCoy. What was the point in having Sierra Breeze had this, I guess, star entrance to have 4 matches, lose 3 of them, win 1, and then disappear? And I don't know if we heard a single word out of her. I don't think she had been in an angle. I don't know if she cut a promo. I don't know if she had an interview. Nothing. Just nothing. Might as well finish up. The tag teams. The Dojo Defenders. Miami Sweet Heat. The Mighty Mites. Spring Break 24/7. The Mother Truckers. Top Tier. All-American Girls. The Brat Pack. The Fierce Sisters. Animal Instinct. Fabulous Four as a faction, the Powerhouse Duo, at least that's what somebody calls them, Princess Ozzy and Tormenta. And then you got the Alliance. Most of these people are tied up inside of some varying group or tag team or what have you. Goes back to what I said, there's almost no singular babyface to be positioned as a top person, because the only people that's left are heels. Abilene Maverick is going after the title. She's by herself. Jesse Jones going after the title. Penelope Bink going after it. We'll get to that. Who else did they have? The Beast, who's already the champion. Pep Riley's not going to be no title contender. She might get a makeover and look or something, but I doubt she's going to be any sort of title contender. Almost anyone else that is left outside of Fury and Genesis would not be feasible as title contenders. Genesis looks like she's en route of it. Fury feels like she's just rudderless in the ocean. Has a bunch of matches, and they're fine, but it doesn't seem like she has any clear direction of where she's going. All right, so back to the review. The segment following McLean spilling the beans that they're going to take over WoW. How he knows that, I don't know. Is the Brat Pack versus the All-American Girls. The Alliance comes out in force, of course, and there is no concern or help for the baby faces. They just walk out as smiling and happy as ever. And no efforts to break up the heels. Now, it has been mentioned that I don't necessarily have a problem with the heels coming out there as such. What I do have a problem with is that David McLean sits at ringside and allows it when we have already been noted that he is the guy in charge. And that he could do something about it at any given time. He just chooses not to, other than he'll call the action and say, they just cheated, but, won't really do anything about it. I can only look at the All-American Girls as having made a dumb decision. Giving up their title shot, and it's almost like it's like they never even had a title shot. They don't bring it up, don't say anything about it. They've lost twice since they had the opportunity at a tag team. Well, I can't even say they had the opportunity. They had the opportunity at an opportunity for the tag titles. But since they decided to walk out of it, the the moment that they got a sob story, this makes them just look dumb. Makes them look like they made a poor decision. Sure, we'll give it a title shot, but when you win it, you got to give us a shot. Well, they didn't win it, so now you got nothing. What was that? So in any case, we got the All-American girls taking on the Brat Pack. Starts off with Americana and BK Rhythm. Not any need to go by the blow here. The important part of the match is that the alliance is out in full force. You got Del Rey and Gambino at ringside. I will give Americana the credit in that she seems to have gotten a little better in her, I guess, in-ring work. I'm not doubted what she's capable of doing physically. I doubted her ability to sell and emote. She does not seem to do that very well. Maybe a little better, but I will say that part of the fix that WoW seems to have is that they don't really focus on her facially anymore. Like, I don't see her all that often while she's in the middle of a match in a close-up of her face and the cells like I used to when they was at the Belasco. But she starts off fine, but this seems more like a rechristening of the Brat Pack than anything, and I can only hope that they will continue to expand, grow, evolve, whatever you want to call it. I have never, that I can recall at least, had a problem with the Brat Pack and Gianni or Rhythm. I've spoken very highly of them as a team once they got together as a team, because that was when I noticed how Gianni really kind of positions herself where she needs to be when she needs to be in a certain spot and place. And this was another example of that. One of the spots here is that when Americana gets into the ring, she shoots Gianni into the ropes, and then you got Del Rey hanging on to Gianni so that she doesn't move. She helps her hold on so that Americana does a drop kick and basically hits nothing. Gianni does some shoulder rams into the abdomen of Americana in the corner. Gives her a nice kick in the back. I mean, she, again, does very well in positioning and how she, moves around in the ring. I will say, and I know that there's some of this is I've created a monster, but coworkers oftentimes look for problems that do not exist. And I know it was one of those cases where she took a hit and she was kind of bent over and it's like, oh, look at her. She just stooped over like that. I was like, look, she's trying to not be goddamn obvious that she can see something coming. Give her credit where it's due. I mean, okay, maybe it does have her down more than she should be or could be. I'm not even going to say should. But I stand by what I said with her. I think that she puts herself where she needs to be and at least makes the effort to try to not make it look completely obvious that I'm waiting on something. And if that means her staggering around or bending her head down and covering her eyes with her hair or something like that, just those little things, I am all for it. When she sits Americana down in the middle of the match and gives her that low drop kick, I love the tag that she does. She goes for the cover. And Americana kicks out of it. But then Gianni makes a tag to her partner and she steps on the hair. I love that. I absolutely love that. Like I say, it's such a simple thing. But it's one of those things that you look at like, okay, now that explains why Americana cannot move. Because Gianni stepped on her hair to make sure that she doesn't move. Brilliant. Makes the tag. BK Rhythm charges across the ring and nails Santana Garrett so that they can get their tandem move in. She puts her knee out so Gianni can just drop Americana like a sack of crap on across the knee of BK Rhythm, and she just starts shoving her around and smacking her about. Garrett's trying to get the crowd hyped up on the floors and, you know, smacking on the mat. Americana's a little better with the sales. She's not doing like she did last season. Like, no matter what you did to her, she sold the stomach. I don't know why or how she got that habit, but it seems a little better now. Also got a chance to see Rhythm do her kind of hip toss suplex combo. Love that thing. It is a nice signature move that she does. Never gets the pin, but it's nice to see. I like seeing it. So they carry on. They're doing their tag team heel match. And, you know, they're repositioning the referee, making Americana work to try to get out of harm's way and get to her partner. Rhythm has her by the ankle. She tries to do a enziguri. That thing missed the mark. Fortunately, at least Nigel called that it did miss the mark. It was low, but he addressed it. Good on him. Because it can still work. I mean, she got a kick and she just got it in the ribs opposed to the head, you know, and he, as the commentator, just made note of that. And I appreciated him for doing it. So, Americana's trying to get over after she kicks herself loose, and then she makes the tag to Garrett, and then Garrett does the hot tag thing. She comes in, cleans house. Gianni pretty much runs herself into the fist and feet of Garrett. And that was the point where it was like, look at her. She's just stooped over like, look, that is what she's supposed to do. so yeah, I stand by that. That is what she's supposed to do. And then she starts to be the one to, you know, get the action put on her. Rhythm comes in, makes the save. There was a portion when Rhythm got back in the ring, and it made Americana kind of sit there on the second rope somewhat unnaturally, because she had to just wait, which I really didn't understand, you know, the action of that in general. Like, why didn't she just run across and help a partner? Because what happens is Rhythm comes in and breaks the count. Garrett is caught now in the full Nelson. Americana gets in the ring while she's in the full Nelson, and BK Rhythm does like this full Nelson buster. And Americana's just waiting on her opportunity. She's waiting on the turn on the second rope to do something. So she's waiting. BK Rhythm gets up, turned away from her, and Americana just has to kind of stand there until she turns around, and then she can get in the high cross body. Comes down with a high cross body, nails her, but she also hurts herself in the process. Gianna gets her with like a, not really a code breaker because it's not across the chest, but she catches her in the chin with the knee. She also gets caught with a super kick. Love how she fell. Drops herself down, and it's not completely obvious because, you know, everybody kind of falls that way. Or at least it's not obvious enough the way you would see it necessarily coming. When they pull her out, you can look at it like, okay, that's why she fell that way, and that's why her hands are up. But it wasn't an instantaneous thing to see her. When she takes the super kick, she turns, she falls, and she drops, arms up, legs out, waiting for the springboard splash that springboard moonsault that Garrett likes to do. But before she does that, Gambino and Del Rey pull Gianni out of harm's way. That gives Gianni the opportunity to yank Garrett into the second ropes and go for a cover. She puts her feet up, and then both Gambino and Del Rey hold her feet down for extra leverage, and they get the pin. So my loser job team has finally gotten one over, and they may be getting some sort of change in direction as they get announced as the winner. I don't know why David McClain decided to stand up in the background to tell the announcer to say it, but he just needed to do that, I guess. So the alliance begins, and after the match, each member cut their portion of the promo. It's an introductory promo. It is not the one that is at the beginning of this podcast, by the way. So if you didn't see it, you have to go onto the WOW page and check it out. But it's just an introduction promo for the group, basically. My question that I put following that was, is there room for another heel faction? I mean, they look good, but I question the destination and it being formed while there's a Fabulous Four at the top tier. But then I also thought about the fact that I said, it's probably them that had some interaction with the Beast or nailed her in the head or whatever, because I can't imagine that they would have this unveiled for 3 completely unknowns. That would be idiotic. Next segment, McClain says they're enjoying the clips of the mother truckers working. This is where it just got downright stupid. They show the truckers working. And it starts with the truckers basically screwing with the group, or more specifically, HollySwag. The mother, more or less, is trying to clean and do the job. I mean, this is an episode of the Beverly Hillbillies condensed down into about a 3.5-minute bit of the 2 idiot Southerners that came to Beverly Hills, or Hollywood or LA or wherever the hell she's at. And aside from the fact that Lana Star is like, hey, I need you to clean, and I think she gave one of them a toothbrush to start doing that with. Aside from that, this is just a pointless venture. I mean, they're cleaning rooms that are pretty well immaculate. Like, why are they here? This felt like, if you were going to do this bit, and I do not endorse them having done this segment, this angle, this bit, none of it. But if you were going to do it, why would the heel manager not have them clean something that was worth cleaning? I mean, I sat in a room watching this with my coworkers, and I had a different segment in my head within 30 seconds. It's like, why would they clean this mansion that has very little dirt or clutter or anything else around it, when they could have had Lana Star say, oh, no, you're not going to clean this portion of the house. You're going to clean the other wing of the house that we had the party in last night, and have some people set out some clothes and trash and drinks and cups and, something where it actually looks like they have a chore to do. Not this. You don't even get the impression that it's that difficult. Like I said, most of this place is immaculate. And what are they cleaning? They're just like scrubbing already clean tile and already clean sinks. They're at the pool with a pool net, digging around in the water for nothing. I said, at the very least, this was my open statement. At the very least, they could have had signed Lana. They didn't even have to be signed. They could have just printed out a bunch of Lana Star 8x10s and put them in the pool, and they said it was a party for her, and that was part of it. And now I need you to get all these things out of the pool. Something, anything, just to make it look like there was some kind of effort that was being put into having to clean and scrub and this and that. This is nothing. This is nothing. That was the first part that I had a problem with. And it starts off with HollySwag, not wanting to be there. Of course, like I said, she's screwing with them. She's having to deliver drinks out at poolside. And of course, there's a camera there. So they're at the poolside. They say, well, you can bring the cucumbers out here for our eyes, and, it's spa day. So Swag comes back in. Big Rigs washing dishes, apparently. Swag gets a plate of cucumbers out of the refrigerator and then proceeds to lick each and every last one of them. Now, why she did that, I don't know, because they never used the cucumbers. The cucumbers weren't even brought up again. Because what does she do? She goes back into the refrigerator. She pulls out a plate of pickles. Now, I don't know who necessarily has pickles sitting around on a plate open in a refrigerator like that, but they did. And Swag comes back out. She's got the plate of pickles, and she tells the twins, hey, close your eyes. And, this spa day, right? And she puts the pickles on their eyes, and then they just start burning, right? They go through their comedic, and all that stuff. And, yeah, I mean, it was on them for goddamn 2 seconds, and they already just burning their eyes. I don't know if pickle juice would do that. I assume that it would because there's some level of vinegar in there. And while that's happening, Penelope Pink is just kind of chilling on the other side, drinking her champagne or whatever she's doing. They cut to another scene where clearly this is like multiple takes and different portions of the day because the outfit changes and all that stuff. But they cut to another scene where they're cleaning the pool, the mother truckers. There's nothing in it. It's just a balloon. One pink balloon. You can just, as she was already standing in the water, you can just pick it up and throw it out of the pool. I was like, what the hell is going on here? This is one of the just worst segments I have seen because I got nothing from this other than HollySwag as an easily influenced idiot. That is the only thing that I got out of this segment whatsoever. So we moved, they're at the pool. Lana comes over to HollySwag. She's like, I need you. She specifically calls out Swag while Big Rig is trying to clean the water out of the pool because that's the only thing that she's getting. I guess she's getting the dirty water with the net out of the clean water. I don't know. So Swag comes in, and we'll assume that this is Lana's bedroom. And she's like, all right, I'm taking these clothes out. I want you to get rid of them. And Holly is like, what? You're going to get rid of all this nice stuff, Miss Star? Because she got to play up the country accent. And in true heel fashion, Lana Star says, no, I was just going to donate them. I was like, what? The heel is going to donate clothes? It's like, how is that being mean? Like, it only doubled down on me saying, I don't know if Lana Star is the heel in this equation. We've already gone over what has happened with the Mother Truckers and the Fabulous Four from start to finish. It ain't Lana's fault that HollySwag and her mom didn't have the good sense enough to get out of that room that they was charging up $10,000 on, which got retconned to $5,000 before they got in trouble. It's not her fault for that. So, as somebody who had their bill ran up, she had every right to tell them, look, now you need to pay this. I didn't do this. Got a title shot off it. Won the titles back. They asked for another shot. Conned the All-American girls out of it. And that's what I will call it. They conned them. Lost that too, and now they're in the throes of servitude because of the bet that they made. And now as Lana Star is taking all these clothes out without any effort, it's not as if Lana tried to seduce her with the luxuries of Hollywood and money and fine items and clothes and cars and diamonds and jewelry and whatnot. It was literally, I'm at the closet giving stuff, that I'm going to, quote, donate. And again, why is the heel donating clothes? That's not a mean thing to do. Actually, it's fairly nice. And Holly's like, well, I can have. She's like, well, you want these? Like, yes. Well, you can have them. I can have them? Wow. And that just turns her whole mind around. Like I said, without any effort, without trying to do it, HollySwag now sees Lana Star in a whole new light. Now, as the segment goes on, we got to get the Three Stooges spot in because there's still going comedy outside. But not before they show HollySwag come to her mom and, with all her crap that she just got. And that's what I call it, crap. And she's like, oh, look at this stuff that Lana Star gave me. I don't think she's that bad. So now, we cut back to the pool scene, and, we got to have the twins play the goddamn comedy segment. They got to be mowing Larry the Big Rigs Curly while she has a little pool net. And what are you doing? What's happening over here? And then she turns and, of course, comedically knocks Lindsay into the pool. I don't know why she decided to stand on the edge of the pool to say that to this nice, clean pool that didn't have crap in it to begin with, but apparently somehow she's not doing a good job of getting the dirty water out of the clean water. So she turns as Lindsay talks to her. For some reason, she decides to turn in the opposite direction of where Lindsay's standing so that she can hit her. And while she's doing this work in her swag towing wrestling gear, I don't know. And as she does, Lori comes around, and of course both of them in bathing suits, by the way, so it's not like they got drumped in there while they was sitting at poolside with their regular clothes, so they were fully prepared to get into the water. So that helps make the scene look instantaneous, doesn't it? So it ends off with basically, like I said, HollySwag is like, I don't think a lot of stars that bad. So I wrote that this looks to be the start of a HollySwag potential heel turn. Would not shock me if that was the case and they tried to duplicate either what went on in OVW or she gets drafted into being the new fourth member since there is no longer Vicky Lynn McCoy. This scene it took very, very, very little effort by Lana Star to sway HollySwag. Lana didn't even try. I'm not mad at the angle. I am mad at the execution. The execution is crap. Along with the items that HollySwag got, is crap. McClain is enjoying this video, which doubles me down on this, telling me this is nothing to take serious. It is just a comedy bit. And there's no reason for you to be concerned or invest in this whatsoever. Moving on. We get a promo in the next segment for the debut of Ashley Blaze versus the Classmaster. I've already written down I fully expect Ashley Blaze to lose. So I don't know why they advertise these losers coming up the next week. I don't get that. Like, they put it on the show like this. You don't want to miss this one, fans. This is going to be the debut of our new wild superhero, Ashley Blaze. I mean, they put it like this is going to be some big thing. But then the big thing comes in there and they pretty much get dumped on their ass within 5 minutes or less. I'm going to just go ahead and predict I'm going to say 3-minute match, 3.5. By the Classmaster, she goes over. That's my prediction for that. So, my gosh, why? I hope that goes a different way. Maybe they'll surprise me and Ashley Blaze actually pull one off, but I doubt it. Next segment, the main event, Siren and Chainsaw with Angelica Dante versus the Mother Truckers. My first note before they step foot out here was, will the Truckers be terrified? Because the last time we saw them, they were absolutely terrified just at the mere presence of Chainsaw and Siren. So would they repeat the process and be terrified of these two, quote, monsters again? Not quite, but we'll see. So they recap Chainsaw's interactions with Pep Brody the previous week. We'll have to see where that's going. Mother Truckers, this is after, of course, the heels come out. Then the Mother Truckers come out wearing their new outfits that Lana Star bought them. How is that a heel move? She bought him new wrestling gear. How is that a heel move? It's a new wrestling gear for a team that she didn't really like. Yeah, you could argue that it's self-serving because, well, I want them to look nice while they're in my house, but who cares? No one's going to see you, so you got new wrestling gear. And it's not even like this is gear that you wear here to clean my house. She bought wrestling gear. Wrestling gear with their names and logos on it. How on earth is that a heel thing to do? Who's the heel and who's the babyface here? So they're out wearing the new outfits and more so than that, HollySwag is wearing Lana Star's donations. It's like, why are you doing this? And she is completely distracted over the nice clothes. Now, I get what they were trying to do because I'm sure that this was supposed to lay the seeds of dissension and problems because poor old idiot HollySwag could not get her mind fixated off of new clothes long enough to have the goddamn match. And going back to the question at hand, were they terrified? No. HollySwag walked right over to him at the beginning, showing off her scarf and glasses, her $10 scarf and $5 glasses to the monsters like there was no issue, and refused to take them off. Okay, so let's pause that just for a second. Even if you were enamored with these expensive brand new items that you got, why, and even if you were going to wear them to ringside, why would you wear them during the match? Particularly a scarf. Only an idiot would do that. It's a choke hazard if nothing else. And it's not like it takes a wrestling fan to know that. That was the first thing somebody just blurted out while we was watching. It's like, what the hell is she wearing that for? I should just drag it around the throat. And then what was I going to say about that? What was I going to say about that? I was like, it didn't make any sense. I'm like, no, it doesn't. Because you're right. I was like, even if you were enamored with this stuff, even if you love it, even if you was, wow, I can't believe I have this, why would you participate in an active match wearing shades, a hat, and more importantly, a scarf? It's just dumb. And that's not a knock to any talents that's involved in the match, Siren, Big Rig, even HollySwag, because I'm sure she is, I'm going to say Hollywood, Haley, not HollySwag. I don't like HollySwag. Hollywood, I like. HollySwag, I do not. Because Hollywood wouldn't be that stupid. HollySwag, on the other hand, is a moron. So she's standing out there dancing around and parading, showing nobodies on the outside that she has new stuff. This is why I wrote at the beginning of my notes, like she acts like she's never had a thing in her life. It's not like those items even look that expensive or so hard to acquire. Like walking to a Walmart, you can pick up any of those things. I mean, give me a break. None of that looks like things that would make me feel like I have to be distracted enough to leave my mother to the wolves. And that's basically what this match was about. And Big Rig did have her moment where she, I guess, illustrated some level of fear to Chainsaw when she wandered into their corner. But even when we got the tag from Swag to get into the ring, she had to prep her scarf and do whatever that she needed to do. Then they double team Siren. Then she walks up to the corner and like shows Chainsaw like, like flips the scarf up to show, look how classy I am. So she tries to, wrestle with the hat on and the shades. She's showing how, I guess, how fashionable she is now for her donated clothes. God, this sounds so stupid. Siren is able to get the advantage on Swag. She pulls her into the turnbuckles. Then she starts beating her up. takes over to her partner, and then Swag is now caught in the corner, and she's in there with Chainsaw. I will stand on that. Chainsaw seems to, be doing fine. But I also think the gimmick helps her too. I've said that a number of times, that because she's Chainsaw, she doesn't have to be necessarily as smooth or polished as her colleagues around her. And at least in this case, she did the obvious. She grabbed the scarf and drug her around. Took her into a corner, hit on her a little bit, then grabbed the scarf again and beeled her from one corner to the next. Now, of course, I'm sure that was all planned, and somebody thought, I'll just wear the scarf out, or you wear the scarf out, and then she can toss you around and whatnot. But yeah, it's just dumb. It's stupid. And it only reflects on how the idiocy of HollySwag. Like I said, all it took was some nice items. Not even expensive items, but some nice items to get her completely distracted off of whatever it is she was doing. And she gets thrown around and tossed around. They get the heat on her a little bit. So it's somewhat like the first half of it, other than the distractions, is like a typical Mother Truckers match, but it got off of his typical run towards the end, once Swag is able to get the tag out. So Chainsaw's beating up on her. To her credit and character, she's utilizing the scarf to make sure that she can keep advantage of Swag and drag her around as such. I appreciate it and was almost thankful that Chainsaw did use the scarf. Because I was like, if they're going to have that thing on her, it needs to come into place somehow. I do not agree that the persona of HollySwag should be that dumb to wear a scarf in the ring. I mean, this would have been done entirely different if it were me. I thought that if you're going to try and lure HollySwag into the idea of, wow, these things are for me, I can have this kind of stuff, first off, it should have been deliberate. If Lana Star is there and she sees that Swag was enamored with having new things, I'm sure she's enough of an actress that the light bulb could have gone off in her head and she could have portrayed that facially. And began to I get nice things all the time, and actually point to some things that everybody can understand as being nice, not just the characters in your universe, everybody, people watching at home. None of those things look overly expensive. They might be, but like I said, it just look like a $10 scarf and $5 pair of shades. I mean, seriously. Nothing there looks like it costs anything that any schmo walking around on the street that could walk into a Target or a Walmart couldn't go ahead and pick up. Or even a Hobby Lobby or something like that. Just buy the costumes. But if they had portrayed it with things that everybody can relate to. Everybody can relate to jewelry. Everybody can relate to an expensive car. Everybody can relate to, just nice items that were handed out or given to you or whatever the case would be, or stuff that you can look at like, man, I wish I had that. If they had started to do things like that, let's say that Lana Star walked her into her TV room instead of her bedroom and had the box that she was going to donate already sitting there waiting. Like, hey, I want to get rid of stuff. Destroy it. Not donate. Make her use the words destroy. And if Swag was like, well, you don't want to destroy these are too nice, then the light bulb goes off. What? And if she shows herself to be weak to those things, then you have an angle. She has leverage as a manager. And then she can start to bait HollySwag with items that everybody can understand. You like those? Well, I mean, I get these things all the time. Look at this designer jacket that somebody sent me. This bracelet, I got this from the jewelry store down the street. They just wanted me to wear it on the show. people could understand that because that makes sense. Somebody might give her stuff if she could get it on TV and plug it. Look at this necklace I have, and it wouldn't have taken anything more than buying some really nice looking costume jewelry that she can pull out and whip out in front of HollySwag to show her how nice this stuff is. I was about to say something else. Don't want to do that. So, a TV, like I said, walk into the TV room, show some massive television on the wall. This thing's as big as the wall in my trailer. Since we're going to play the local yokel trailer park girl stereotype, might as well have her say something like that. It's like, well, this, I barely even paid a quarter what this thing was worth. It cost $5,000. I paid $100 because, I'm on TV. And I'm part of the Fabulous Four. And they know that, whatever stuff Lana Star has to say to bolster it up. And you could play into that. And then when she goes to ringside, you can have her talking to members of the Fabulous Four, not some random dude in the audience. Imagine if Penelope Pink and Miami Sweet Heat just decided that they wanted to sit at ringside and watch their servants wrestle. But when Swag is on the apron, they talk loudly enough to where she can hear it. And they're just happen to be talking about some nice stuff that Lana Star just gave all of them. Look at these bracelets Lana just bought us. Oh my God, this must cost a fortune. Doing it deliberately to get the HollySwag's attention. Now that's something distracting. If she gets down off the apron and the twins block her sight that her mom's in trouble and Penelope Pink's in front of her, and she's showing her, this was just our anniversary gift for doing a good job for being part of the Fabulous Four. Lana likes to take care of her own. She likes to take care of the people that work with her and keep, the prestige of the group and her name alive or whatever. However they had to phrase it. But it would make more sense to do that and have some item that everybody in the audience, everybody watching at home, that everyone can relate to. The Rock didn't come out and get the Nation of Domination a bunch of scarves and shades, gave them Rolex watches and like full on like link chains. Look at these gold, these solid gold Rolex watches for you guys because I love you. And it made more sense that he gave them these nice things and then turned around and gave Farouk a picture of himself. There was a big punchline. But that's not here and there. I'm just saying the point being is that there were things that people could understand and relate to. Everybody's heard of a Rolex. A Rolex watch? Holy crap. You bought all these for us? Of course that's going to endear some level of gratitude, which is exactly what should have been applied here. In that scenario I just gave, just imagine that it was a nice, overly expensive bracelet, or at least looked like it on TV, or a Rolex watch. And the way that they portrayed her, if she's distracted by a scarf and shades, of course she would be distracted by that. She might just leave her mom to die if she had a Rolex watch dangled in front of her. So anyhow, HollySwag, getting back to the match, of course, is fighting from underneath and trying to get to her mom to get out of this beating that she's taking from the monsters or whatever name they go by. Evil Inc., Monsters Incorporated, who knows. Siren gets ready to go for what I assume to be her finish, the Northern Light suplex. Swag is able to block it as she hooks the leg and she turns it into a DDT, and a beautiful DDT at that. Big Rig is bouncing up and down the ropes and she's ready to get up in there, and HollySwag is crawling out like she is on death's door to get out of the ring. And then Big Rig comes in and does what Big Rig does. Clean house. Because that's the way that the Mother Truckers match generally goes. Now, of course, after taking this beating that HollySwag took, now while she's on the outside, she has to go and put her hat back on and make sure her scarf is nice and immediately stand up with her back turned to the action. Siren tags out while this is going on, and Chainsaw comes in, and whatever fear that Big Rig had before is no longer there. And she's getting crunked up trying to fight back on Chainsaw, and Chainsaw's doing a nice job of not selling it whatsoever. And camera catches Big Rig communicating with Chainsaw. They probably told her, pick me up. And she gets in the bear hug. And she's trying to, get free. She gets out, gives a headbutt to Chainsaw, and she tries to go tag off to her daughter. I don't know why she would do that, because I'm not sure what HollySwag could do against Chainsaw anyway. But the sentiment was nice to get out of the ring and save yourself. So Swag just stays with her back turned to her mom, because not only is her back turned to where she can't see, of course, her ears don't work either. So she is, I don't even know who she's talking to. She's just dancing around showing the scarf to some nut in the crowd as her mom is getting beat up. Chainsaw gets in her front face lock, does a neck breaker, then she hits her with the splash. And again, like I said, apparently HollySwag's ears don't work either, because it only up until she heard the 3 that she's like, what? And she comes in and like, what happened? And Siren comes over and charges her with a forearm and just knocks her down. And they beat him up after the match, which good on them as heels to do that. This angle I don't like. It is not convincing enough. As stated earlier, I do not mind the angle in and of itself. What I mind is the execution. It's just so unbelievable for me. I can't speak for everybody else. But for me, this angle is bare bones. When I saw this, I just said, HollySwag would leave if you dangle something nice and shiny in front of her eyes, and she would just follow you to the ends of the earth. And that's where the problem is for me. It's like they didn't even give her a strong reason to not pay attention to her mom. Seriously. Maybe another partner that she just randomly had, maybe. But they didn't give this or her a strong enough reason to not pay attention to a mother. A scarf, a hat, and shades. That ain't enough. And it doesn't translate as being enough. But anyhow, we will see how that goes, because I'm sure they got much further to go. The last summary notes I had here was, is Genesis going to get a pass using this exile gimmick forever? I mean, she does the X sign and keep bringing up that she became the leader of Exile and she's the only member of it, which I don't understand, because that's no longer a group. I wrote down she talks about being the leader of Exile, but I also wrote, what good was that? She went all that time to try to solidify herself as the leader of the group that she immediately disbanded. Didn't make a lot of sense to me, but, moving on. Next note, summary, I had Angle with the Mother Truckers doubles down on the southern stupidity of HollySwag, and quite possibly the Mother Truckers in general, for all the reasons I just explained. The other thing was, during Animal Instinct, Holidead and Chella match at the beginning of the show, McLean says something to the effect that some say WoW has the best tag team division in all of professional wrestling. I said, ha! Who are these people? Who are the some that say WoW has the best tag team division in all of professional wrestling? Are you out of your goddamn mind? There is no way that WoW has the best tag team division in women's wrestling, much less all the professional wrestling. And I'm not saying it because there are several people in that company that I absolutely adore and like. But so long as you even have a team, and I'm sorry, young ladies, but the Fierce Sisters do not qualify as a top tag team in the world. Spring Break 24/7 does not qualify as a top tier tag team in the world. Top tier might be getting close, but no. They haven't shown as a tag team to begin with. The Dojo Defenders, I'm sorry. They haven't done it enough. Even the teams I like, I can't endorse because they haven't done it enough, and they haven't been against anybody. Who have the Dojo Defenders defeated to be classified as a top-tier team? The only one that's in that company that you can even begin to make the argument for is Miami Sweet Heat. You can argue that they are one of the best because they're the 4-time tag team champions of that company for what that's worth. I mean, but honestly, any tag team that wanted to cut that down or devalue the win could probably just mention, well, who have you beaten? Like that alone takes the rug out from some of that. Tonga Twins, the Mother Truckers, Campanelli and Rah-Rah is like, which of those teams are going to go down in wrestling history as one of the greats? So let's not kid ourselves. I can appreciate that he would try to sell that to the audience, but let's sell something that's a little bit more believable. But you know what? For the people that's watching, they probably would believe it. Or at least a significant chunk of them. WOW's core audience is pretty much where it's at. So maybe they would. And Zane talks about Collins and Jinx being trained at the WOW training facility. I don't know if Animal Instinct and Roxy Fierce, because he said it during her match like 2 weeks ago, is the selling point that this facility needs. I mean, take Roxy out of it. I'm not even sure if Animal Instinct is the selling point that place needs. First off, to be fair to them, they looked fine in the ring. Like I said, they still just got to grow on me because I'm not fond of the gimmick. But it would be absolutely unfair of me to say that they were just uncoordinated boobs in the ring or something like that. They're not. But they are not where they should be, arguably, to be on national television. There's other tag teams out there, women tag teams, that have been as good, if not far smoother, than Animal Instinct. And that's not a knock on them, nor is that their fault. They didn't ask to be, well, I'm not going to say they didn't ask, but whatever powers that be that exist in that company are the ones that put them in that position. They put them there. They didn't put themselves on TV. They put them there. Okay, this is this is a long episode. The second half of the WOW review. And I want to say something nice about Animal Instinct. Because I don't want to come off like I just dislike them as people. Like I said, I fully admit I am not fond of the gimmicks. I just am not. But it's not as if it can't be evolved or changed or gotten out of. Which is part of the reason that I made note that McLean and Zane decided to bring up Goldie Collins and Alexander. I was like, come on, man. She can get out of that. It's not necessary. She doesn't really do anything overtly that is relative to that gimmick. It's not like she walks out carrying a leash. It's not like she walks out with her dog. It's not like she does promos where she's trying to train people. She doesn't really do anything with that all that much yet. Now, I say that so she might pop on TV next week and do it. I don't know. But as of right now, she doesn't do it. Jinx, yeah, she needs to tone it down. But I say that to say they could get away from that and be a quality team with a quality gimmick. I will give credit to say that there is something there. I just think that they will probably do better to, if they're going to work as a tag team, they probably need to do it more often so that they can move a bit more, well, I'm not going to say naturally, but that's the only word I can think of, to move as a unit more naturally without the potential need for prep. It wouldn't be that difficult to get them to transition up. If the commentators stop bringing up Alexander or her training her dog or anything like that, if they didn't have the need to do that, you probably would not be able to tell that she's anything to do with dogs anymore, since they got rid of the video of her staring lovingly into Alexander's eyes. Zayn calling her the gold standard will be taking an entirely different route. And it would work in a wrestling environment. The dog trainer thing means nothing. And then Jinx, most people would probably believe if you told her, like, well, no, she's just, the face paint is just her religion. She's a witch. Or something along those lines. They would probably buy it. Because really, other than she has some eyes spray painted on her arms, there's not really much that relates to anything feline. She tries to work it that way. But again, you could get her out of it if you just took those trace elements of it away and let them just grow as a team. If you're so driven to have Animal Instinct be this team, which they probably win the titles at some point. But if they're so driven to have that happen, then make them palatable for more people than just the core WoW audience. Everybody does not need a gimmick, or at least a gimmick of such cartoonish nature that's not necessary. So anyhow, that was WoW for the week of the 12th. Before I go into the preview of next week, I just want to mention one thing that you may want to check out for those fans that like women's wrestling and matches. Nothing against the WoW matches, but matches that probably could not be held on WoW. I am going to suggest to you the tag team hardcore match of Pretty Empowered versus the It Girls. The Page sisters and Star and Ella Envy. It is probably something that you would enjoy just based on the effort to try to be as close to violent as they could be. This is the best way I could describe it for those of you, the team of the It Girls and formerly the faction of Pretty Empowered. The best way I could describe for those of you who aren't really familiar with them, they would be like the grittier version of the Fabulous Four, or they were. Somewhat similar gimmick. The It Girls still carry that now. With the pink and all that stuff like that, and Better Than You, and, with high fashion, et cetera, et cetera. But when I say the grittier version, like the most dangerous weapon that the Fab Four carried for a while was like a mirror. And a hardcore match in WoW would probably equate to a chair, a table, and a trash can. Possibly 2 tables. Here is like everything. The banner at the merchandise table, the the tables that's under the ring, the chairs at ringside, the chair that they brought, which was spray painted, the baseball bat that they had bedazzled. I mean, that's what I mean when I said before. It's like, well, I could find some other weapon for the Fab Four, and this match proves it. Now, they might not want to use a steel chair, but it was everything that I wanted. It's a spray painted pink chair. It still works with their gimmick. It would have worked with the Fab Four's gimmick, and it's believable. And that it's not just pink; it's like pink and bedazzled. Now, how perfect is that? So that's my suggestion for you. And when you see it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You'll know it's like that, and probably agree that they could have used it. But I know that they don't necessarily want the product of WoW to be as gritty. And this match was, at points, could be a little gritty. That Ella Envy. Man. You talk about the little things that you put in the anger that she put in driving one of the sisters, I can't remember which one, into that chair. I mean, that thing looked like she really wanted to take her head off. So there's my suggestion. It is on the NWA YouTube channel. Hardcore tag match. Pretty Empowered versus the It Girls is the name. That is something I think that you would enjoy. Give it a watch. And now the preview for next episode of WoW. The next episode will be Season 3, Episode 6, Second Chances. Jesse Jones must defeat Penelope Pink in the main event to secure a championship match against the Beast. Why are they doing this? This is like the third number one contenders match in a row. I don't mean consecutive weeks. I just mean it's just one number one contenders match to the next. Yeah, anyway. Over at Lana Star's Fab Four Mansion, Big Rig Betty's tired of working for Lana Star, but is surprised to learn that Holly doesn't seem to mind as much as she should. A new superhero joins the roster in Ashley Blaze, but will her talent and fresh perspective be enough to take down the Classmaster and Samantha Smart? Also in action, Sylvia Sanchez and Fury team up. What the hell? What? I'm sorry. I'm just reading this for the first time too. Sylvia Sanchez and Fury. Wasn't Sanchez a heel last time we saw her? Isn't Fury a babyface? Okay, anyhow. Also in action, Sylvia Sanchez and Fury team up to take on the Dojo Defenders. Aren't the Dojo Defenders babyface? While the Fierce Sisters find common ground with Tiki Chamorro to challenge Top Tier for the WoW Tag Team Trios Championships. I am already not liking this episode. The main event might be the saving grace here. Jesse Jones and Pink is probably going to be good, but god damn, why is this still happening? Penelope Pink lost to the Beast twice already. And to Tiki Chamorro twice. And somehow she's challenging for the championship. Got right back into a number one contenders match against Princess Ozzy, which I don't know how she was in it either. Pink wins that despite already having shots against the Beast. Goes into another number one contenders match against Jesse Jones, who never got a shot against the Beast for whatever reasons. And a shot at the championship at all, when everybody else doesn't seem to jump through hoops. But she's got her. Pink wins that, and now we're going into a third number one contenders match for the Beast. Where is the Beast? When was the last time that title's been defended? Shouldn't she be stripped of it by now? And it continues. The Fierce Sisters and Tika. This is exactly what I meant with trios. It very rarely done well in America. It's just a slamming together of any combination you can against this technically a faction, Top Tier. for the vanity belts, because there's no purpose in having these belts. And speaking of slam together teams, Sanchez and Fury, why? And why are they going against the Dojo Defenders? I already expect Ashley Blaze to lose in her debut match, so that's a third thing that bothers me. So the weight in my eyes in this episode is going to be on Jones and Pink. Please pull this through. Maybe one of them surprised me, but I'm just asking right now in advance, please pull this through. So that's the review, folks. It was a long one, but thank you for staying tuned to all of this. I then and now appreciate it. And do the YouTube things. If you listen to this on YouTube, like, share, subscribe. It helps everything grow. If you are listening to this in audio format, then you probably found us on greater platforms everywhere for this download. But if you didn't, and you're listening to it, say on YouTube, and you wanted to get a MP3 version of it, well, first off, the link's in the description by and large. But secondly, you can always go to the WPNWrestling.com site. It's got everything that happens here there. All the podcasts go there. These 24-hour days, 7-day extreme runs with matches and interviews dating back to 2013. The faces that you probably know and recognize, including some that have been on and are still on WOW. And Ring of Honor and AEW, TNA. They're pretty spread out. And with that, we can close this up. So, this is Mr. Green saying that this is Mr. Green saying so long, and we will see you on the next go-round. Take care, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the WPN's Rights and Wrongs of Pro Wrestling. If you have questions or comments, please contact us via our Facebook or our YouTube channel at the Women's Pro Wrestling Network. If you're new to the WPN, feel free to subscribe to our channel and like our page. We appreciate your support. Thank you again for listening.